Hi everyone. Photoshop Tennis is a really fun assignment. It's actually based on a game that's been around for a while. And if you look at the assignment here, I've provided you with a little bit of background information, but it's kind of like tennis in that somebody gives you something and you have to do something to it, and then you send it or serve it back to them, and you send the image back and forth to one another several times. The reason I like this assignment so much is because it's really fun. It requires that you just kind of let your imagination go, just do whatever comes to mind, and you don't have a whole lot of control over how it's going to turn out because you don't know what you're going to get, and that's the whole fun of it is this element of surprise and this element of not knowing what you're going to have to work with. So I've given you a little bit of background information here, and if you want to see some really good examples, I would advise that you just Google Photoshop Tennis. I didn't find any links for you on this because there's so many of them. I think you can probably look at those on your own. But so this is, of course, a a Photoshop project. I have a starter file that I'll explain to you for each of these, and I will explain to you what stock photography is. But basically, you're going to be in pairs. You're going to actually sign up for teams, I suppose is how I'd put it. And each team will be given an image that I have created. I've created an image that has a few layers on it already. And the first person who decides to go is going to take that image and is going to make modifications to it. There are not a whole lot of rules other than all of your images do need to be photographic, high-resolution images that are either original or stock photography, royalty-free, I should say, stock photography. You can't completely remove any element that's in there, but you can edit it any way you like. You can manipulate any way you like. So if there's something in one of the files, feel free to move it, modify it, do things to it, whatever. And every time the file is served to you, you have to add at least one additional component. Preferably more. It just kind of depends. And so you're going to be serving this this file back and forth to one another no fewer than 3 times. The fun about this is that the image is top secret. You do not work together on this other than the fact that you're serving. Consider it like a game, and so you don't want your opponent to know what they're going to get. So maybe you could look at it in terms of, well, I want to try to trip my opponent up a little bit and see if I can make this difficult for him or her. And all that's going to do is just make the creativity all that much more. So you don't want your teammate to see or know anything about what you're doing to that file until they receive it. And I'm going to recommend that you probably use Dropbox to share the files with each other. You do need to every single time share the Photoshop file with all the usable good layers intact, and always, of course, throw away any bad layers because of of file size. You're also going to save a JPEG version of each state, and a state means you finish, you finish it before you serve it to the next person. The first person, that'd be state 1, right? And then the next person does it at state 2, so on and so forth. please back up your work. Super, super important. Okay, you've got people, depending on you here. So at least place that backup file in 2 places. And you can continue playing this as long as you like. It needs to go back and forth through a minimum of 6 states. Oh, here's a link. Okay, let's just take a real quick peek at this and see. Oh goodness, this is just too fun. Okay, so say here's the first starter link, and there's a person standing there with an umbrella, and then somebody comes and puts a Union Jack flag on him. And then in the next one, let's see. He has some guy coming up out of the manhole, and a guy hits him on his bicycle. These can be really hilarious. And then there's a team of marathoners running by, and then there's a big sinkhole, and then the other player decided that he or she didn't like the sinkhole and covered it up, and put, I guess, added this guy to kind of protect everyone, and that part gets a little silly, but I think I could spend way too much time looking at all of these with you, so I think I'm going to have to just let you take a look at those on your own. But let's see here. Where did my instructions go? So what else did I need to tell you about that? So, so anyway, go to that website, take a look at those samples, go to some other websites, get inspiration, and realize that, the instructions I've given you may not fully comply with rules that have been set up for, different people who've played the game. So just use those as an idea, but they might not be specifically what I'm asking for in this assignment. So let me show you the 4. I've started with 4 starter images for you guys, and I've placed them in the discussion board. I think there are 6 or 8 people that are still active in the class. If more, I will create more images for you, but for now, let me go to the discussions, and you're actually just going to post your final. You're actually going to just post your final state, your PowerPoint, right here under the same thing. I don't know why that came out so big. And that's not really even what I wanted. Doesn't it seem funny, like every time I get on this screen record with Blackboard, it's running exceptionally slow. Sorry about that. Okay, Photoshop Tennis. Let me just go into, okay, so you can see that I've started 4 threads. Started files A, B, C, and D, and I would like for no more than 2 people to sign up for each one. It's going to be first come, first serve. So open this one, and if you like it, hit reply, type your name, and you can be member number 1. If there's somebody you want to work with that you already know in particular, you can agree together, let's go sign up at the same time so that we get to work with each other. I don't care if you do that. Or you can just do the randomness of, working with a person that you don't know. That's fine too. But after 2 people have signed up for it, this one will no longer be available, and you'll have to choose another one. Okay, so the first one, these are all incredibly random. I got these from some stock photography sites, and I didn't put a whole lot of thought into them. I just kind of grabbed things that I thought might be fun, and it seems like sometimes the less thought you put into it, the wackier it becomes. It's always a great way to get a start. Usually the story will start to unfold, and then maybe you want to get a little bit more specific, like the first person might say, okay, well, there's these helicopters flying past, what is that, Mount Fuji or something, I don't know, and there's this giant cat paw coming out from under the clouds. like it's going to bat away one of the helicopters. Okay, so you might ask yourself, well, what would I do with that? What would I, add more cat paws, or would I add, some kind of a weapon designed to protect the helicopters from the cat paw? I don't know. So as the thing unfolds, you may be wanting to get more and more specific as to the direction, because you're actually going to be writing a little story. Or taking turns adding to pages of a little story as you go along as well. I don't know if you can see me right now, but I've got this huge smile on my face. That's how excited I get about this assignment. I just love it. Okay, so here I found and actually I went to one of the great places to get some royalty-free images that you don't have to pay anything for are the NASA, and I think it's like the National Defense site or something. There's all kinds of images, and so I just grabbed a picture of a nebula, or what, I don't know what that's called, intergalactic starburst or whatever, and I saw some people with 3D glasses on, and I thought, well, let's kind of make these, what are they? I don't know. Are they great big 3D gods floating around in the sky? What could you do with that? I don't know. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, this next one was also from one of the NASA sites, I think. And this person here, I think it's a military person, and she's actually doing sit-ups. She was actually doing like crunches or something, but I liked the way her arms were crossed over her chest, and I thought it looked like she could be hanging, like a little vampire or something. So I placed her in here a couple of times. You can see that she's kind of hanging upside down. This file is probably a little bit more elaborate, just because I did some shadow work on it. I've labeled the layers very, very carefully, but this one does kind of start out with a few more layers than the others do. All of them have at least a couple of layers, and how I like my blending modes and all that, and then and then finally this background is another one that it had something to do with the National Defense site. They really got some great pictures in there, and I went to another stock photo site, and I got a giraffe, and I got this cat that was rolling around on the ground, and I thought, well, how cats kind of just roll around, curl up in a ball, and roll from side to side, and I thought, well, he'd look pretty cool. That he looks like he could be dropping out of the sky, and so. I put him in there like, he's a comet crashing to Earth or something, and the giraffe is watching him. So I have no idea where these are going to go. You take them from there and surprise me, and I don't want to see them until you hand them in. Okay, I don't want to see them until you submit them, because I want it to be a big surprise for me. Okay, let me go back to the assignment. And I want to show you the template that I created, because I actually have some additional instructions that you need to, just kind of bear in mind with the template. So let me open that up. Oh crap! I bet it's already open on my computer somewhere. Too many things open. Here we go. This is it. Okay, so. This is the template that I created for you guys. And you need to give it a name, okay? So you probably won't know the name of your story until you're on to the third or fourth state. what are we going to call this, or maybe until it comes to a conclusion. But that you are actually going to be writing a little story at the bottom of each slide. So be thinking about what you want to call it. The two of you are going to have to come to an agreement on what the title is, I suppose, after all the serving is done. And of course, put your name on it. There's some additional instructions here. I've got 3 pages of extra instructions that please delete these before you hand them in. These are here just to, kind of give you a little bit more information. Some of it's redundant, but again, I'm emphasizing high resolution, original or royalty-free stock photos. I don't want you just going on and using Google Images this time. First of all, the images are not high enough resolution for this, and second of all, I want to be absolutely sure that you're working with legal images, because remember, we're pretending like we're professionals here, and if we were going to, in the professional world, be printing these or publishing them in some way, if anybody owned a royalty to that image and saw that you were using it for any reason, and they wanted to call you on it and you hadn't asked for permission to use it, you would be in deep, deep trouble. Okay, so we will talk about stock photos momentarily. So as I mentioned, I will provide the starter file. Whoever signs up first can get the first serve. That's the way I see it, first come, first serve on that. And just kind of reiterating the instructions I've already told you. When you save the files, each of you is going to have a total of 3 Photoshop files that you're going to save. Okay, and you will name them first initial, last name, the 06 because it's Project 06, and then State 01 or State 02, State 03, State 04, so on and so forth, right? And the rules stay the same. You just volley it back and forth, okay? Is there anything else in here? And then, of course, these are your your typical, save these for a PowerPoint like you've been doing all semester. Those are fine. And one of you, it doesn't matter which one, but one of you will post the PowerPoint saved as a PDF to the discussion board. Okay, I will explain the confidential peer review sheet in just a moment, but let me show you the part about telling the story. Okay, so the starter file goes here, and the team member number 1 needs to write a little story about that. Okay. You don't have to go with what I said. I think what I said was actually kind of stupid. But tell me what you think is going on in that picture and be as imaginative as you want to be. What's going on? Who are these people? Where is this? How is the story going to unfold? And you're going to write a little, kind of a 100-word storyline, just introducing the starter image, and then you're going to make your first state of alterations. Okay, so state 1 for team member number 1, you're going to then make your alterations, and you're going to provide another little continuation of the storyline down here. I'm talking about a sentence or 2. Please don't make them very, very long, but make it unfold in some kind of way. And then, of course, when team member number 2 receives that, they have to read what you've written on the first 2 slides and look at the image that you've created, and they have to add to that some way. And remember, they can do whatever they want. Okay, they can do anything they want. Okay, and so it's going to go back and forth. If you choose to volley back and forth more than 6 times, by all means do. I'm thinking you'll have enough other things to keep you busy that you probably won't have time to do much more than that. But since the team member 1 will have written the introduction Okay, team member 2 is going to kind of wrap things up and write a summary. So this last slide, you're going to write a conclusion that's, about 175 words long. And this means you both had to write about the same amount. How are you drawing this to an end? What's happening? Is there a moral to the story? Is there a cliffhanger? Could this be the beginning of something that'll happen in a sequel? I don't know. I really don't care. Just as long as it's a surprise when I see it, and you're just as creative with it as you can possibly be. Okay, so there's your template, and then I've got all these extra windows that are open. And so normally this semester I've been having you just submit your PowerPoint saved as a PDF directly to the discussion board, and I've been giving you a grade through there. Okay, but since only one of you is going to be submitting the PowerPoint, and it's really just going to be there for critique purposes, I need for you to submit something else to me so that I can enter a grade for you. The first thing you're going to do is, as you've been doing with other Photoshop files, save your 3 states in a folder, your Project 06 folder. And I've shown you, pretty much how we've been saving everything. This would be member number 1 would have states 1, 3, and 5. Member 2 would have states 2, 4, and 6, and then you would both have a folder with all of your original resources that you used, whether those are original or stock photography or whatever. You will put those in a URL. You'll put those in Dropbox and create a URL to share with me. But instead of emailing that to me, you're actually going to submit it to me through an assignment portal along with this peer review sheet. And do I still have Word open? Yay, yes I do. I didn't close it out. But there we go. Alrighty. So this is you're gonna have 2 team projects in this class, and I don't know how you guys feel about team projects. They are, mandated by the state, so don't blame me if you don't like them. I'm trying to make them as fun as I possibly can, but you do need to evaluate your team member or members, because that will, come into part of your grade. If one of you pulled your weight and the other one didn't, I need to know about it, okay? And it's really going to be the most fun for both of you if you would just get on it, stay on it. You don't have to do much to it to make this really interesting and fun. You can do a few little things and really change it dramatically. So you don't have to get in there and just kill yourself with some really, really ornate, or super, super detailed imagery, okay? But each of you will give me a peer review sheet, and everywhere that I've got a bullet, I just like you to answer the questions that I've asked you here. Just give me some general feedback on the collaborative process. How was it doing something like this compared to other team projects you've had to do? If you've been taking classes in the state of Texas for a year now, you've probably had to do other team projects. The good, bad, and the ugly about it. And then I want you to rate both team members, and that means giving a rating to yourself. By the way, this is confidential. This is a confidential peer review sheet. I'll make sure that's in great big letters there. The other person will not see this. The only other person that will see this is me, okay? You do not share this with the other person, okay? This is just you know, this is just you sharing with me how, you know, you felt that person contributed to the project. And I want you to be honest and, you know, tell me how you think you did as well. You know, kind of look at it from your teammates' perspective, and, you know, what kind of team player do you think you were? You know, go ahead and give yourself a rating on that. Okay, so save this. You can save it as a PDF or just a Word file. I really don't care on that. But when you submit it, see where it says click here to submit Dropbox URL and peer review sheet. Okay, different link from the PDF of the PowerPoint going to the discussion board. You're going to click here, right? And there's all the instructions again, and it may not be taking me to the, it may not be taking, yeah, okay, yes, here it does, all right. So down here where it says text submission, just click write submission, and all you have to do is copy and paste the URL from your Dropbox, okay? That's all you have to do. You don't have to write anything or anything like that. And then to attach files, just browse your computer to give me that Word document. Actually, I guess I would prefer you save it as a PDF because it makes it easier for me, because then I don't have to launch Word. I can read it a little bit more easily, but if you forget to save it as a PDF, I won't freak out too much, okay? So there's a little extra step there with submission, just due to the nature of the assignment. Okay, and I will conclude this video and come back with another video about stock photography.